Hey guys, welcome to my championship prediction video. I did a Premier League one a week ago or so, and it did really well. I recorded this video about 3 or 4 days ago, went to go edit it, and it was just broken. And I'm really annoyed because it would have been out this weekend, but now it's going to be out on Tuesday, I think. So, yeah, looking at the table I have made up, it's ridiculously hard to predict a 1 to 24. It's kind of a gamble, but obviously you know where teams are going to be roundabout. Going into 24th place, we do have Barnsley. Now, the reason is for this, I know they beat Derby at the weekend. I did actually make this table before those fixtures, but I have changed a couple, but I still feel Barnsley, I wouldn't concentrate on where particularly they are placed because it's so varied between 24th and 20th. I think they'll be in that area. Either will get relegated or they'll basically scrape it, and yeah, I just don't think their squad's quite as good. I think that Ryan Kent guy was one of their best players. I think Liverpool have got a really good youngster on their hands. I think he's only like 18, 19 years old, and I think he'll do a good job in the future for both England and Liverpool, and maybe even push on into other teams. And yeah, I just feel like Barnsley, they don't quite have enough quality in that team, so I'll put them in last position. Into 23rd, then we do have Bristol City. I believe they will get relegated this season, especially if they do lose Jonathan Kodjia. They barely scraped it last year. I know they've got a couple of wins so far in the league, and they are like top of the league, but at this point of the season you really can't look at the league table. It really doesn't tell you much of a story. So let's go on to 22nd now. We do have Burton Albion. The local players, obviously Burton and Derby, they're quite close. They're probably like 10-15 minute drive apart. I think Burton will get relegated, especially with Nigel Clough. He just is a really bad manager. It's really annoying. I know a lot of Sheffield United fans will know. I know a lot of Derby fans will know. Literally every year buying League 1, League 2 players, and it's just really frustrating. And I just don't see how he can keep that team up. It's done really well to get from the conference to Championship, but I think it may be a stretch too far. Going into 21st, then we do have Rotherham. They do have Alan Stubbs, who was the Hibs manager last year. But I don't know, I just don't feel like they're going to stay up. They barely scraped it last year with Neil Warnock, who I'm really surprised didn't like re-sign his contract, or they didn't, or they sacked him or something. I can't remember what happened with him, but I would have done everything to keep Neil Warnock, because he is a really good manager at keeping your team in the league. Like he is like Big Sam Allardyce. He can't get your team relegated. Tony Pulis, that style of manager that just keeps the team in the league and does a great job. Into 20th then. I did actually move Blackburn quite a few places down. I think I had originally in like 14th. I've moved them all the way down to 20th already because they've got massive problems. From those first few games, they are just really looking really bad. Owen Coyle, he may not even last till September. Like he's really not done too well in his first few months at the club. And I just don't see how, after losing Rudy Gestede and Jordan Rhodes, they haven't really found that replacement yet, and I think they are massively missing that striking force up top because they're just not going to do too well this year. Into 19th, we do have Preston, another team. I think they'll just about scrape survival in the Championship, but I don't see them getting any higher than like 15th or something because they just don't quite have the squad for it. And their like best striker, Joe Garner, he is actually linked to Rangers today, so if they do lose him, that'll be a big loss, and I just don't see them do too well. Into 18th position, we do have Huddersfield. Now, I want Derby to sign Nahki Wells. I think him and Chris Martin up front would be a really good 4-4-2 striker partnership. Big man, small man, with pace as well. The problem is with Darren Bent when you're playing with Chris Martin, they're both slow because he's old. He's like 32, 33 years old. So we need a youngster like Nahki Wells, 25 years old, really good pace, and would be a really good buy. We'd probably pick him up for like 4 or 5 million as well. Into 17th position then, we do have Wolves. Now, they have recently just been taken over, so they've got quite a bit of money coming in. They've got a big Benfica player, I think it's Talisa or something, or Talisca, I'm not too sure, but yeah, they've got a lot of money coming into the club. They did actually offer Derby 6.5 million for Chris Martin quite recently, so they have got a lot of money, so maybe I should have put them a little bit further up, but I did actually like make this table before all that went down, and yeah, maybe like a 13th or 12th finish. But I just thought I'd leave them at 17th because I haven't really seen too much of Wolves, and they have lost quite a few big players in the past few years, and McDonald in the CDM role, I think he was really good for them and he's gone to Fulham. Into 16th position then we do have Wigan. I think Wigan, they've got a good squad. Like, they've got Will Grigg up front, who's obviously got that song, and that'll help out a lot more in terms of the fans will, I don't know, they'll just cheer on the team a little bit more. They're quite a big club, obviously won the FA Cup a couple of years back, and yeah, they just didn't really have too much of a good time when they came down to the Championship. So I think Wigan, they'll just about scrape survival, maybe even push on to mid-table with the squad that they have got. They've got some really good experienced players like Buxton and Warnock in that defence, who are really good players. Like, they just about missed out on a derby team each week, and I think in Wigan they'll do a good job. Into 15th position then we do have Forest. Now, I did actually put them higher up. I could have put them lower in the table, but I did put them one higher position than where they did finish last year. So I'm not being biased, guys. I'm being quite fair. I've put Forest in 15th. The thing is, they are linked with Assombalonga leaving. He is potentially going to go to Norwich, I think it is. I wouldn't mind us buying Assombalonga, to be fairly honest, but I don't think he would move to us. He'd probably cost us like 10-15 million if we tried to get him, but at the moment I think it's looking at around 7 million, because he has had some really big injuries and it has put his career on hold. And I don't think Forest really, like, their manager's a bit clueless in my honest opinion. I was watching them against Brighton. They were shocking. Brighton absolutely tore them apart. We drew 0-0 with Brighton. So, I don't know, maybe we played Brighton at the right time. Maybe they're going to do really well this year. But Forest, I think 15th, that's about fair. Maybe pushing on to mid-table if Assombalonga does stay fit. Into 14th position, then we do have Brentford. Another team that they did do quite nicely a couple of seasons back. They got into the playoffs last year. I think they got a mid-table finish, so I think again mid-table for Brentford. I don't think they've brought in many players, and they're definitely missing Pritchard, who has gone to Norwich this year, and I don't know, I just feel Brentford mid-table finish. Into 13th we have got Reading again, another team. They've lost a few big players in the past. They lost Oliver Norwood in the central midfield this year to Brighton, who I think should have come to Derby. He would have been a really nice backup CDM / centre mid option for us in the midfield. But nevertheless, Reading, pretty good squad. They have got Jaap Stam. They brought in, did they buy him? I don't think they did buy Van der Vaart. I think he went somewhere else, but he was linked to Reading for a little bit. So I think a mid-table finish, maybe pushing on for the playoffs if they are a little bit lucky. Into 12th then, we do have Cardiff. They have got Paul Trollope, I think it is, as the manager. And I don't know, I just feel like they're going to get a mid-table finish. They've got a good enough squad to potentially push on to the playoffs if need be. I think they've got Adam Lafondra coming back from loan. Not too sure what they're going to do with him. And again, another team, and like Cardiff, Reading, you could even say Wigan, Wolves. These used to be massive Premier League clubs, and now they're just like they're not massive Premier League clubs, but they were doing a lot of business in the past, and at the moment they're kind of just rebuilding, like Derby when they did get relegated about 5 or 6 seasons ago. Into 11th position then we do have Leeds United, who I probably should have put them maybe in 14th and pushed those last 3 into higher positions, because Leeds, they're not doing too well, but they have got Gary Monk, and I think that's one of their best signings. I don't like if what's his name? I can't remember the chairman's name. Massimo Cellino. If he sacks Gary Monk, then he's an idiot, because he deserves the time. He did a really good job at Swansea, so I think given the time at Leeds, he has lost Lewis Cook as well for like 6 mil. I don't think they have bought any players. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. They may have brought in a couple. I think they brought in the Oxford player. Can't remember his name, but Roofy or Roof, I'm not too sure, but he's a really good winger. So they've got a couple of good players in that Leeds United team, and I think they'll get a mid-table finish as well. Into 10th position then we do have Fulham. I thought they were going to struggle quite a bit this year, but from the first few games, I know I shouldn't really judge them, but they have looked really good defensively, really good defence. Their manager as well, what's his name? He was at Watford when they got promoted, so I don't see why he can't do the same with Fulham. He has got like, 15, 20 mil from selling Dembele and McCormack, who are going to be massively missed at the club. That's like 40 goals for them, but they have got Adam Smith, a really good target man, and yeah, their manager, he's done it before in the league, so I think like a 10th to maybe even pushing on to that 6th position for Fulham this year. Into 9th position then we do have Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's QPR. Again, the manager has really helped this team. Like, I probably would have put him in like 15th place if it wasn't for the manager. but because of that manager who has got, he did do really well with Burton. I know the Championship's a lot tougher. He's had a little bit of time to adapt to the league as well, and they've got quite a bit of money, so I'm not too sure if they are going to bring in a few players. Until then, I think they lost Fowling on his contract just ran out, but he'd have probably been on quite a bit of money, so financially probably getting rid of him was quite good. Into 8th position then we do have Birmingham. I think Birmingham, with Gary Rowett, they're going to do really well this year. They've got a really solid squad. They are looking to bring in some players. They brought in Che Adams from Sheffield United for a couple of mil, and I think with that kind of, I don't know, just young squad that are hungry to actually perform each week, I think they're going to do really well this year, Birmingham. Probably between 10th and 6th position, maybe pushing on for that last playoff slot. We'll have to see though, but the top 6, it just looks incredible in my honest opinion, and I think they're going to do a really nice job. Into 7th position then, just missing out on the playoffs, I have got Ipswich. They've got Daryl Murphy up front, but he is getting on a bit now. He is about 33, 34, 35, somewhere around there, so he isn't going to be quite as fit as when he did get those like 28 goals in that season. I'm not too sure how many they got last year. They have brought in a couple of players, but again, I think they're just going to slightly miss out on the playoffs. I could have probably even put them lower and maybe push Birmingham a little bit higher, but yeah, around that, just missing out on playoff position for Ipswich this year. Into 6th position then, we do have Sheffield Wednesday. Now they are Forestieri. By the time this video does come out, maybe he's left the club, but apparently they don't want to sell Forestieri. But I think if Newcastle put this like 12 million bid that is potentially going to be on the market, also we're linked to him, Derby County, so I think if they lose Forestieri, they could potentially miss out on the playoffs. They have brought in Gary Fletcher, is it? Stephen Fletcher, the former Scotland and Sunderland striker. I think that was a really good buy on a pre-contract side, and I'm quite surprised Derby didn't look into that, because we got Darren Bent last year, who's a proven Premier League goal scorer. But I think missing out on Stephen Fletcher probably was quite a big miss for us. So, yeah, I think at 6th position, maybe pushing on for 4th for Sheffield Wednesday this season. Into 5th position then, we do have Brighton, and as you can see, we haven't quite got to Derby yet, but I will get into those very shortly. Brighton in 5th then. I think they've got a good squad. They brought in Oliver Norwood. They've got a good manager in Houghton. And, yeah, again, they'll get the playoffs, potentially push on to the top 2. But the thing is, with these top 2, I shouldn't probably put the position place for this top 6, because it can change so much. A player gets injured for one team and they can drop out, so it's really difficult to predict on who's going to finish in the top 6. But I put Brighton in 5th, and I think they'll potentially push on to top 2 if they get a good run of games. So into 4th position then, we do have Aston Villa. Now they have brought in Ross McCormack, who really has pushed them up the league in my honest opinion. They were a very broken club. I had them in about 7th or 6th position without Ross McCormack. Now they've brought him in, they've pushed themselves up a few positions very nicely. And Fulham, again, missing out on him. If they did have Ross McCormack this year, I feel like they could have potentially pushed on for the playoffs. But nevertheless, Aston Villa, they are linked to Mal Jedinak as well, who would be a really good leader for the team. He'd be able to just, I don't know, give the team a bit of drive, and they need that in the squad, because at the moment they haven't really got many leaders. And they need it because they're going to struggle this year, because they have already been knocked out by Morecambe, I think it was. It might have been Luton in the EFL Cup. So they kind of do have nothing else to concentrate on than the league until like January. So I think that's really good for Aston Villa, just to get their heads down and focus on potentially getting back up to the Premier League straight away. Into 3rd position then, we do have Norwich. Now it kind of does show who the top 2 are, but we'll get onto those in a moment. The reason I've put Norwich in 3rd, I feel like after losing, getting relegated from the Premier League, it's a massive thing, and not many teams do bounce back straight away. You've seen with so many of these teams, Fulham, Leeds, like 10, 15 years ago, they never bounced back. Cardiff, Reading, Forest, when they got relegated, they've never bounced back. They're just mid-table every year. Wigan, Wolves, not Huddersfield, they've never been in the Premier League. What am I on about? But yeah, there's a lot of teams, like Birmingham as well. They've been relegated, and they just, they just don't really do too much. But they have got a really good manager in Alex Neil, I think it is. So they have looked really strong as well since coming back down. They have got Naismith. They are kind of missing out on a striker. I think that's what they do need to bring in. They brought in Alex Pritchard, another attacking midfielder / left midfielder. So yeah, maybe third, maybe even top 2 if they get a good run of games. So going on to the second position, we do have Derby County. Now I know this is kind of biased. It is kind of biased, I'm going to be honest with you. But the reason I have put him in second is we've got Nigel Pearson. He managed to do a fantastic job at keeping Leicester up in the Premier League. And as long as he brings in a couple of players in the next couple of weeks, I honestly feel like we can get automatic promotion. He just needs to slot these players into the 4-4-2. He needs to get a few players fit, like Weimann and Kamara. The reason we were playing Butterfield at the weekend is because we couldn't play Russell from the start, as else we wouldn't have any like force off the bench, basically. Like, if you start with Russell, you've got Butterfield, you've got Johnson, you've got a few other players. They can't really come onto the pitch like Johnny Russell did, and he actually drove us a bit more in terms of pace and power and stuff like that down that left-hand side. So when Weimann and Kamara does come back, he'll start playing Russell on the left, and then he'll bring on Weimann or Kamara, or maybe even start with them. So we've got very good wingers. We just need a striker. We need that striker to get some goals for us with pace. That's the main thing. Naki Wells would be the ideal choice in my opinion. Maybe someone a little bit better, like Abdel Hernandez or something like that. Not too sure if you would drop back down to the Championship, but yeah, we've got plenty of money. Like, we could spend 15 million in the next couple of weeks. You never know. We were linked to Forestieri. He would have been really nice just in behind the striker, because he's not quite good enough in that role, in my honest opinion. He does well against the lower teams, but he just hasn't had the time to really mould into that position yet. But Forestieri would slot in straight away and bang in goals and start assisting straight away. So that's why we've put us in second. Since the bad start, I wouldn't say bad start though, like, we've lost one game. Big up to Dudar. The thing is, what we did, we played a strong team on Tuesday. Then when we went on to Saturday, it was not quite as fresh and fit as it should have probably been. But no less, going on to the final position, we do have Newcastle United. I don't see how they can't get first. I know they haven't had the best of starts. They've lost 2. But you've got some incredible players in that team. I just don't see how, if they keep Musa Sissoko as well, I just don't see how they can't get top position, because they've got an incredible squad. They've got defensive covering, which is unbelievable. They've got like 2 in each position, basically. They've got Yambat, they've got Grant Hanley, a great centre-back. They've got Sells and Krull in goal, great goalkeepers. Up front, they've got Dwight Gale, Ayozo Perez, and Mitrovic as well. I forgot about him. Like, he could do a quite decent job in the Championship. He's got a lot of power, and he could probably show that in the Championship. Since the Premier League, a little bit more technical, and in the Championship, you kind of just need that brute force up front. So, yeah, I just honestly don't see, if you guys want to leave some comments down below on where you think Newcastle will finish, any of the teams to be fairly honest, where you think they'll finish. If I have got any of them wrong, I've probably got Wolves wrong, and maybe Barnsley and Bristol City, because they've done quite nicely. But that relegation area, you could probably put Burton, Rotherham and Blackburn in there, to be fairly honest. But nevertheless, predicting the top 6, it's kind of irrelevant on what position they finish. It's just who are going to be in the top 6 when it comes to the end of the season. So if you did enjoy this video, make sure you do smash the like button. I know it was a little bit longer than the last one, I think, so make sure you do drop this like. I've just got hiccups now, so I'm going to end off the video. Make sure you do smash the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel, and see you soon. Bye.